Hi, I'm Deb Freeman. Because I read a lot of novels, friends sometimes ask me to recommend a good book to read. I often suggest the prize-winning English author Penelope Fitzgerald. Her novels vary widely in subject and setting. No two are alike. Another plus is that they're all short. Most are under 200 pages, which makes them very accessible. Penelope Fitzgerald's life was as varied and dramatic as her fiction. She published her first novel when she was 60 years old and achieved her greatest fame at age 80, giving hope to late bloomers everywhere. Fitzgerald was born in 1916 into a brilliant and accomplished family. Her father was a bishop. Her uncles were all well-known authors, scholars, and cryptographers. She was one of the first women students at Oxford, where she was known as the blonde bombshell. In a family of high achievers, her future success was taken for granted. Her marriage in 1942 to a handsome young Irish Army officer started out promisingly. Unfortunately, Desmond Fitzgerald was an alcoholic, and he was disbarred for forging checks. The end of his legal career led to a life of poverty for the family. Penelope and Desmond and their 3 children lived for a while in a homeless center, then in subsidized public housing, and even on an old leaky houseboat on the Thames, which ultimately sank, destroying all her books and papers. This houseboat experience may have been a low point in her life, but it provided excellent material for a novel called Offshore, which won the Booker Prize in 1979. Her ability to turn even the unhappy experiences in her life into something positive has had a major impact on my outlook on life. A good book to introduce you to the pleasure of reading Penelope Fitzgerald is Human Voices. I think you can see it here. It's in paperback. This book combines 2 of my very favorite subjects, surviving in London during the air raids of World War II and radio production. While planning their approach to war reporting, the BBC made the ethical choice to tell the whole truth to the nation rather than offering comforting falsehoods. The characters in the novel are all working to, quote, scatter human voices into the darkness of Europe. And this description of the power of human voices has definitely impacted my humanistic views. Fitzgerald had worked for the BBC, and she vividly writes about the orderly chaos of the radio offices during wartime. She writes that the large staff, quote, varied between the intensely respectable and the barely sane. The concert hall at the BBC was turned into a co-ed dorm for all night shifts. There was the underlying possibility of being bombed and the constant affairs and flirtations. While everyone takes their jobs very seriously, this is not your typical wartime service. One essential engineer's job was to test sound equipment, and to the annoyance of his coworkers, he constantly played the teddy bear's picnic because of its curious changes from high volume to low volume. I think Human Voices is a particularly wonderful book to read now, while our own lives are undergoing mind-spinning changes and don't always seem particularly rational. Who knows if the equivalent of playing the teddy bear's picnic over and over will get us through our own challenging times. Fitzgerald loved writing about institutions that have their own peculiar systems and routines. At another of her many jobs, she taught at a drama school for children, where her pupils included Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, now wife of Prince Charles. This school was the setting for a pleasurable novel called At Freddy's. After writing 5 novels, all based on her varied life experience, there was a dramatic change of direction. Her last 4 novels are set in various historical time periods, all far from England. I particularly love The Beginning of Spring, which is about a small family-run English printing company located in Moscow in 1913. The coming revolution is in the background, but the owner's biggest problem is when his wife packs her bag and returns to England without a word to anyone, leaving him to take care of the children and the business. I spoke to Ernie while preparing for tonight's talk, and his favorite of the Fitzgerald novels is her final book, The Blue Flower, which is about the 18th century German romantic poet and philosopher Novalis. The Blue Flower won the National Book Critics Circle Award in 1997. So I hope you give her books a try, start anywhere, and please let me know if you read one and what you think of it. Thanks.